Welcome back. We are in our final segment of Mid Morning Talk with Maria Mia. And yes, I was truly, well, I have been this whole morning empowered, educated, and inspired. And we set to continue with our education and empowerment segment. And we're going to be speaking about environmental issues, specifically alternate renewable energy sources, and this is on the back of the COP26 climate summit. And well, good news for South Africa. South Africa is set to receive 8.5 billion dollars to help end its reliance on coal in a deal announced at COP26 climate summit. And President Cyril Ramaphosa has called it a watershed moment. The country is currently a major emitter of greenhouse gases as a result of its, what this article says, addiction to coal, which it uses to generate electricity. So last month, so a big coal mine we know is in Mpumalanga province, Imamaleli to be correct, which means the place of coals in isiZulu, and the town is where the country's most of the country's coal is mined. It said South Africa is the largest emitter of sulfur dioxide. A mother from the area says she had to quit her job to look after her children. Her eldest has asthma, and this is as a direct result of her home being situated opposite a coal mine. And a local government official, Errol Nkabandi, blames the national authorities for allowing mines to operate so close to people's homes. He argued that the Department of Mineral Resources allows them to be opened without consultation with the community on the ground. Some of these environmental authorization applications don't even come to them, and you wake up and you just see a coal mine popping up. Currently, 80% of South Africa's power comes from coal, but as we all know, with the current load shedding and blackouts, this is still not enough. It doesn't generate enough power to satisfy the demands of our needs. So, joining me on the line now to discuss what is the implications as well, where to from here in terms of alternate power sources. I have Thabo Sibeko, and he's the Programs and Education Officer for EarthLife Africa. Good afternoon, Thabo, and welcome to Mid Morning Talk here on Salam Media.
Good afternoon, and greetings to all the listeners out there.
So tell me, what was EarthLife Africa's reaction to the substantial aid announced at COP26 in terms of getting South Africa to move away being 80% reliant on coal for our energy, and then using those funds to then look for alternate energy sources to supply the energy needs of South Africans?
Yeah, I think for us, the outcome for that lump sum of money out of the COP26, we are actually grateful for that. And we are actually going to be monitoring that very closely because South Africa, as we speak, as we all may know, that we are currently faced up with a whole lot of energy crisis. And that actually happens due to, as a result of the current ways that we are using to generate electricity, which is coal. So that lump sum of money, which is actually meant for assisting South Africa to actually accelerate a just transition to low carbon development, which is renewable energy technology, rolling out of renewable energy program, in order to supplement and ensure that South Africans have got stable access to electricity. I think it's the right move towards the correct direction.
Okay, so when we talk about alternate energy sources, I know currently South Africa employs 25% of alternate energy sources is wind and solar. And I think those are two natural gifts we have so far. Is being in Africa, we have abundance of sunshine throughout the year. Mostly we in many parts of the country we experience sunny days, and then in the Eastern Cape and in the Western Cape, I call them wind machines, because when I visit the friendly city, we have abundance of wind there. And I remember being at Cape Point one day and somebody screamed and said, the wind machine is on today, the wind machine, because it was really, really windy. So we can harness the wind and wind farms that is currently happening in the Eastern and Western Cape, as well as then using solar. Tell me how economical it is and how doable it is to then get those resources probably to 80%, so that we can then wean ourselves on the reliance from coal.
Yeah, I think gone are those times where coal used to be the only energy source that we South Africa we relied on to generate electricity. But it's unfortunately that other sources like wind, as you say, as well as the sun, are some of the sources which we're not actually given a fair chance. We have not actually tried and tested those sources, to actually use them to generate electricity. So we believe that the renewable energy sources like wind and sun, they've got a very good potential to generate a stable electricity or energy for South Africans. So South Africa is actually one country which is actually privileged with those sources of wind as well as sun, and we have not actually taken a good advantage of it, to ensure that we are actually using it to a point that we are able to actually evaluate whether these sources are actually reliable or not. But we have not actually explored and tried different mechanisms to use the kind of energy sources that we have in South Africa. So, but we strongly believe that given some studies that have been conducted, and some of the samples that we have seen, examples that we have seen in other countries, taking an advantage of the sources such as sun, we have actually seen that how privileged we are as South Africans. But with our privilege as it stands, we're not actually taking an advantage to make use of the current energy source that we have. So coal, 90% of our electricity is generated from coal in South Africa. So, but during, gone are those times that coal used to be the one and only source, but it's actually high time that we actually alternate, because coal has actually proven, due to its externalized costs as well as some environmental injustices that we have seen, the unsustainability, and also the economical stagnation which comes with as a result of making use of the coal as a source to generate electricity in South Africa. It has actually has proven that it's no longer sustainable and it's not actually environmentally friendly.
So as I spoke today, it seems that in my previous discussion, any discussion is not apolitical, and you are in the field of environmental, and lots of it is political and economically based in terms of conversation. So if we look at the current, even the coal producing towns, they offer jobs. The reality is, as much as yes, there's a great cost to the environment, to people's health in it, but it's a place of livelihood. So there are many workers working on coal mines, and this is how they sustain their family, migrant labor. So what will how do we then transition? How do we upskill those current people working in the coal industry, and current towns that are born and they sustained economically because of those coal mines? There's a whole town that happens there. What happens so that they don't feel the economic impact in this, because the thing is, as I've said, wind farms are profitable in the Eastern Cape. Do we then migrate, or how do we upskill? Where is the balance in the fine line? Yes, we want clean air, we want renewable air, environmentally friendly, but at the same time, what happens to those that are working in this type of an economy? How do we balance that with environmental factors and lives and then livelihood as well?
Yeah, I think that is actually quite simple, because the just transition does not actually mean that those that are actually currently in the sector will have to lose their jobs simply because of the new sector, which is a renewable energy sector, is actually coming in. It will mean that a reskilling exercise will have to take place, um, meaning that those workers that are actually working, for an example, in a coal mine or coal-fired power stations will have to be trained on actually how to assemble renewable energy technology, um, so that they don't actually lose their jobs, but they can actually stay on, and but with a new technology. For an example, during the transition in the music industry, where records used to be utilized as a way of actually listening to music, and there was a lot of transition from records to tapes and CDs, and now actually technology is evolving. So it means that reskilling on how to actually deal with the new technology will have to take place. Also, the institutions of higher learning also will have to actually kind of introduce renewable energy as a way, um, as a new technology, which actually is for the future, so that when students or learners are actually going out there in a working environment, they are actually skilled, that they are actually be able to cope with the current new technology, which is the renewable energy. So it does not necessarily mean that those that are currently in the coal sector will have to actually lose their jobs. So, but also, I think one of the other ways is that government, within the allocated resources from the COP26, will have to actually set aside a just transition fund, which can then be utilized for reskilling, preparing the workers that are actually in the sector, but also you know um, uh, designing a curriculum for institutions of higher learning to actually prepare the learners in those institutions, so that when they get to that industry, they are actually well qualified in order to be able to actually qualify for the renewable energy industry.
Yes, because I see South Africa has taken an undertaking by 2030, 60% of South Africa's energy will be alternate, so-called clean air, the energy sources will get. So I want to know, is this target achievable given now that we have this additional boost in terms of funding? Can we reach this target now in little over 9 years?
Yeah, with the willingness of the government, I think it's actually possible. And also, if you look at how things are happening now, with this whole ongoing power cutoffs or load shedding in South Africa, I think if government is willing enough, I think we can be able to achieve that target even a way before the actual time frame. We can be able to allocate it, because if we have resources, and for as long as government realizes that we are sitting in a crisis, I think it is possible to actually meet that target, in order to make sure that in fact, South Africa is actually running behind the schedule. Because if you look at um, uh, the previous COP, the conference of the party, South Africa was actually supposed to be, um, you know, developing what we call a, a system, or a way which will actually fast track the just transition in South Africa. So it was only last year when they started developing the MDC, which is the um, um, uh, uh, a way which South Africa is showing commitment that they are willing to move away from the fossil fuel to a sustainable way of generating energy. So we are actually running behind the schedule. But I think with the resources that have been allocated and the willingness of government, I should think that South Africa can actually meet the target even way before the actual target, allocated target.
Yes, because I'm just thinking to myself now as we speak, um, the government should be maybe even using part of that fund towards providing a rebate to individual households, companies, small business, SMEs, those that, so I can choose to go solar. So maybe all my lights, so I become less reliant on so-called ESCOM and the coal. And if I invest in solar panels to say, all the lights in my house are going to be in solar. I'm only going to use ESCOM for my plugs and things like this. As individuals, as companies, by investing in solar personally, I mean, yes, we are then investing in clean, renewable solar energy harnessing from the sun, but it's a cost. So I think maybe a partnership between individuals, between companies, and government should be looking at putting an incentive to us by way of a rebate, because now the funding is available, and using this to say those that are going to go, take it upon yourself, install it yourself, and we will provide you with a rebate because you're helping us reach the 60% target. What is EarthLife, or do you have an opinion on this in terms of incentives for individual households as well as businesses?
Yeah, the idea of incentive is we support it very much, because if you look at how pressed communities are, more especially the grassroots communities, and if you look at the unemployment rate in South Africa, a lot of people are actually looking for something which will have some kind of an incentive in return. But also, if government also adjust some of their policies, like the tariff policies, giving renewable energy more preference, for it to actually showcase in South Africa, that we can actually attract a lot of investors. Even companies can actually come and manufacture some of these technologies, and that can actually bring the cost of the renewable energy down. Because at the moment, most of the investors are actually skeptical to come in South Africa because of the policies that we have are not actually are designed not to favor renewable energy, but they are designed to favor fossil fuel. So if those policies can be adjusted, that can actually attract investors to come in South Africa to invest, and also a lot of households, the end users of electricity, would actually also be more interested to invest in the technology. Because right now, a lot of people, when there's load shedding, people don't know what to do, So, and the renewable energy is not actually promoted by government, even though we are faced up with a whole energy crisis in South Africa. So we don't think that government, much as they say that they are they would like to transition, but we don't see a lot of commitment from government. So if government can actually do that, promote renewable energy, and also adjust some of their policies to allow investors, even companies that are manufacturing, to come in and manufacture in South Africa, that can actually bring the cost of the renewable energy down, and a lot of people can actually simply opt for that. And for as long as there's also some incentives, as you say, a lot of people can quickly jump into an alternative. Right now, we've got a lot of people don't even know of an alternative, which is a renewable energy. A lot of people don't even know what a solar panel is, and other sources of energy are, so simply because it has not been spoken about explicitly by our own government. So I think government should actually promote renewable energy. If they are serious about transitioning to a low carbon economy, then I think they should actually speak more about it, promote it, and also adjust the policies so that the investors can come and invest and manufacture and invest on some of the programs which are promoting renewable energy and sustainable development in South Africa?
Well, we put also our faith in, we proud we have organizations such as yourself, Earthlife Africa, because we know you are going to keep, you're going to keep government to account to meet their target of 60%, put the pressure, apply the pressure, so to speak, in terms of incentives, in terms of investment policies of government, that they should put their words into action and walk their talk, so to speak, and let's get the upskill. So we spoke about reskilling the workforce, university curriculum, the incentives for ordinary individuals and companies as well. So this is your platform here on Salam Media. So we will share this, help you in terms of educating and empowering ordinary citizens of South Africa to be active environmentalists, to keep government account that you've got this money now. Let's see you meet this target without the money getting lost and misappropriated, because this is what happens in South Africa. Commonplace funds get misappropriated. So let's hold into account, myself, yourself, and this is the platform, and hopefully for our future generation, we can breathe clean air as well as alternate pure air, and also the cost of electricity and utilities can come down, because that is also adding to the burden on the consumers, is the high cost of energy, of electricity and of power. Thanks so much, Thabo, and we hope to talk to you in the future to see how far we have progressed with regard to alternate energy, clean air sources. This is Thabo Sibeko, and he is the Education Officer at Earthlife Africa. Thank you for being my guest, and have a good afternoon. Peace and blessings upon you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed my show today. We were empowered, enlightened, and educated. And yes, we all are activists. We have an easy means now in terms of social platforms to be activists from wherever we may be connecting. You can be an activist. So put your voice forward and make yourself heard. Create the awareness, and you be the instrumental of change for positive society, positive earth. Until next week, may you be under the mercy and the protection of the Almighty. Peace and blessings to all you, to all of you. Shukran for the privilege of your time and company.